Hey, it's Alex here. Oh, take these off. These are just glasses that help block blue light from computer screens so my eyes stop getting so blurry. Um, but I thought I'd share with you. I was editing my book today and just going through, trying to fine tune some things. And I went over this section and I love it. I love the information here. And it's just it's so good. I mean, not to toot my own horn. I'm not saying like, oh, I wrote it so well. What I mean is, I love the information contained in here. I feel like it's something that people don't really recognize, don't really know. And I thought I would read this portion that I'm talking about to you. So, in my book, Millennial Morality, Chapter 3, it says, today the political scene has changed dramatically. All sorts of ideas have floated through the general populace regarding the proper place of religion in politics and public. Perhaps one of the most contrived misconceptions of religion and politics comes from the saying idea of the separation between church and state. Progressive thinking tells us that this statement means religious thinking is meant to be void in politics and in fact removed from being expressed publicly. That thinking is literally the exact opposite of its meaning. The phrase, quote, a wall of separation between church and state comes from Thomas Jefferson. Progressives will tout this fact, enjoined with the false narrative that Jefferson himself was not religious, and so he was clearly alluding to the removal of religion from politics and public. This is a case of supporting a false concept with an equally false story. Just read Jefferson's own writing and examine his own actions, and you get a clear picture that Jefferson was indeed religious and highly valued allowing citizens the freedom to enjoy their own religion without interference. In fact, upon nearing his death, he instructed that only 3 things be listed on his headstone, 3 major accomplishments. Of those 3, one of them was, quote, father of the Statute of Virginia for religious freedom. In October 1801, the Danbury Baptist Church of Rhode Island wrote a letter to the newly elected president, Thomas Jefferson. In that letter, they expressed, quote, in that letter, they expressed to Jefferson their grave concern over the entire concept of the First Amendment, including of its guarantee for the free exercise of religion. From reading the First Amendment, it sounded to them that the right of religious expression was God-given, thus inalienable, rather than God-given, hence inalienable, and that therefore the government might someday attempt to regulate religious expression. This fact alone would indicate that Jefferson was not irreligious, for if he were, he would hardly be the advocate to approach in hopes of securing a definite freedom of religious exercise. In response to this private letter, Jefferson assured them of the God-given, inalienable nature of the freedom of religious expression, and that it would remain free from government interference. He said, believing with you that religion is a matter which lies solely between man and his God, that he owes account to none other for his faith or his worship, that the legislative powers of government reach actions only and not opinions, I contemplate with sovereign reverence that act of the whole American people which declared that their legislator should, quoting the Declaration now, make no laws respecting an establishment of religion prohibiting a free exercise thereof, thus building a wall of separation between church and state. Jefferson made it clear, so that's the end of the quote there. Jefferson made it clear here that the wall of separation between church and state was meant the prevention of government from interfering and making laws against religious expression. This is why the phrase is a wall of separation between church and state, and not church from state. This understanding still does not infer the extreme, that is to say, that government cannot regulate actions done in the name of religion ever. In short, there are rare cases when actions, even when done in the name of religion, that can be legislated against because of how it harms another individual. To quote Jefferson again, "The legitimate powers of government extend to such acts only as are injurious to others. But it does me no injury for my neighbor to say there are 20 gods or no God." In other words, if no injury is done, let people believe and act on that belief as they so choose. So that's the portion of the book I wanted to share with you. Sorry, my reading isn't perfect, but I love it. It's so good. That information is amazing. Helping people understand about the wall of separation between church and state is between church and state, meaning that government is not to interfere with religious expression when it doesn't hurt people. But it's never to mean that there is a separation of church from state, meaning you remove church, you remove religion from politics, you remove religion from the public sphere. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you guys all buy a copy of this book too.